Good morning, everyone. I hope you are well today. Welcome to the Ohio Urban Community Action Network, or OUCAN, annual meeting, 60th anniversary celebration. I'm Angela Spears. I will be your host and your celebration tour guide. Don't you love that title? I love that. Celebration tour guide today for our virtual meeting. I'm also president of Angela Spears Communication, a marketing, public relations, and community engagement company. Sit back, relax, and let's get ready for an hour of education and of fun. All right? I'm so excited to be with you to share the highlights and impact of Ohio's urban community action agencies as we celebrate 60 years of the Community Action Agency and the American Promise. Now, before we get started, I have just a couple of housekeeping items to let you know about, all right? First of all, this presentation is being recorded, so make sure you hit OK and you know that it's being recorded here for us right now, and it will be available after the event today on OUCAN's YouTube channel. So if someone missed it, you want to share it, or if you just want to watch it again, go to the YouTube channel. It's all there. It will be all there. You can also learn more about the OUCAN's achievements in this year's annual report. The downloadable PDF was made available in your event confirmation email, so I hope you all received that. You can later access the full report on OUCAN's website. Let me give that to you. It is simply Ohio, it's OHIOUCAN.com. All righty. So it is my honor now as we get started to introduce to you someone who's very special, a hardworking visionary leader, our Chief Executive Officer, Yvonne Sherrill. She's celebrating, y'all, her third year leading the network and creating a place for Ohio's urban community action agencies to learn, to connect, to advocate, and to collectively break the cycle of poverty in our communities. Hello, Yvonne.
Hi, Angela. Thank you so much for coming back in and celebrating with us. We are always happy to have the Angela Spears Communications in the room.
Thank you. And it's wonderful to be with you and to celebrate this 60 years. I'm excited to see everything that you and the community have, what y'all all have been doing.
Well, I know you're going to be working hard this morning, Angela, but I hope you also get a chance to sit back and relax during this virtual presentation because there is a lot to share this morning. All right. Well, I want to say also good morning and welcome again to the Ohio Urban Community Action Network 2024 annual meeting. For 40 years, Ohio's urban community action agencies have become a leading resource in breaking the cycle and poverty in urban Ohio and ensuring residents are treated with dignity and have the resources to prosper in their everyday lives. Today's annual meeting is especially important as we reflect on 60 years, you guys, of fighting poverty and promoting self-sufficiency for all Americans. We all deserve the same access, the same rights as everyone. The history of Ohio's urban community action agencies began in 1985. Can you believe that? I think I was in the fifth grade. I was the lead trumpeter. Yes, I beat out two boys. I think I was the lead trumpeter at Miles Park Elementary School in Cleveland, Ohio, 1985. And we were chartered by our founding members to provide a voice at the table for Ohio's urban communities and represent the needs and the interests of Ohio urban poor families and residents. OUCAN agencies represent 56% of the state's total population, 56%. I don't want that to get lost on you. 56% of the state's total population and 62% of those households living at or below the federal poverty level. We seek to reduce the number of households living in poverty so that no family experiences food insecurity or housing challenges, and that all are able to earn a livable wage. OUCAN will continue the anti-poverty fight. We will support public policies and legislation that puts families first. We will maintain open doors to provide to programs and services that promote self-sufficiency and equity. We will be the voice to end poverty for Ohio's children and families. And so we are so happy, again, that you have joined us this morning, and we invite you to continue in the fight against poverty. You could give to the movement as an advocate. You could give as a community partner. You could support as just a concerned neighbor through your online tax-deductible donations. For every dollar received, OUCAN will continue to empower Ohio's urban community action agencies for maximum impact. Thank you again for being with us today and celebrating 60 years community action agencies and 40 years of OUCAN. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you, and that is so wonderful, so wonderful. And let's get started so we can learn more about the history and all that has been going on over the years. At the forefront of the OUCAN membership and influence in the state of Ohio is the network's impact and advocacy agenda. We know community action agencies are designed to meet the needs of their local communities, right? Well, those needs of our cities and our members inform the advocacy priorities of the network. OUCAN's 3 advocacy pillars represent 100% of the services provided by our member agencies to address the issues we strive to influence. The agency's priorities are quality and affordable early childhood education and child care, workforce and career development, and safe and affordable and lead-free housing. All right, OUCAN supports programs and policies designed to address access to childcare and early childhood education, as well as quality and equitable funding for both. These are just some of the things that we support. OU supports programs and policies that reduce racial disparities in wages and occupational clustering. OUCAN supports programs and policies that prioritize safe, affordable, and lead-free housing while reducing the gap in home ownership for underserved buyers. Let's learn more about OUCAN's advocacy agenda and community impact and how our agency efforts bridge together Ohio's community action agencies to alleviate poverty and improve the lives of families in urban communities. Well, here to tell us more is our very own Fierce Advocate CEO, Yvonne Sherrill. Also, Cranes Cleveland Business notable Black leaders and OUCAN board chair, Dr. Jacqueline Chisholm. Dr. Chisholm also serves as the president and CEO for Step Forward, Northeast Ohio's largest urban CAA and the state's designated anti-poverty agency for Geauga County. I'm sorry, I probably said that incorrectly. I do apologize. We're also joined by the incomparable and multifaceted Robert Bo Chilton. He serves as the president and CEO for Impact Community Action Agency, the largest urban CAA in Franklin County. He serves as advocacy chair for OUCAN, and he's known for his quoting his favorite scripture, "To those whom much is given, much is required." Oh, I love that. He serves as a guiding principle for his life. This serves as that. Also, one of Ohio's courageous and unapologetic elected officials, the people's champ, the Honorable State Representative LaTanya Humphrey will be joining us here in just a moment in this video. Representative Humphrey represents Ohio's 2nd House District. She recently co-introduced HB 288 to make an appropriation to continue to fund the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, aka SNAP program, and Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, just known as WIC, contingent upon a lapse in federal funding. Let's take a look.
For 40 years, OUCAN agencies have never closed their doors to the community. We believe in a foundation that everyone deserves the same amount of dignity and respect in services. If you find yourself in a situation, loss of income, medical bills are rising sky high, or you don't have efficient childcare services, OUCAN member agencies have been around, and we continue to serve families with dignity and respect.
Community action agencies were really created to help serve low-income people and to help them achieve self-sufficiency. We serve the local needs of the community, from Head Start and early childhood all the way to seniors who are on fixed incomes. We serve the whole gamut of the community.
We're the only ones that are providing the assistance and the support. So people depend heavily on us.
There are a number of people who have been struggling for decades. They go to work every day, often 2 jobs to make 1 income. And they're trying to take care of themselves and their families. And what Community Action does is to help them do that. We also help move people from poverty to self-sufficiency, because no one wants to be poor. I mean, let's be clear about this. No one wants to be poor. But when they're in a situation like this, too often, they're having to make decisions about, do I pay for food? Do I pay rent? How do I get to work, especially if my car is broken? How do I make certain that my children are taken care of in a safe place? And what Community Action does is to provide all those things. In addition, emergency services. You know, we've had people come in who didn't have food, and we provide food vouchers. We provided rental assistance. We help people find jobs. Community Action does a number of things, but at the end of the day, our job, our role is to help those people who need help and to make their lives better wherever we can.
In the broader advocacy perspective, OUCAN serves the entire family. Our approach is the whole family, from cradle to elder services. You cannot feed a child that is unhoused. You cannot provide weatherization for families who cannot keep their housing. And so we're there as a part of the community to make sure the entire family is taken care of. This is also our opportunity to mitigate generational poverty. Generational poverty has been a culprit in our communities for a long time. And so we are here to provide the kind of services, the wraparound services, fabric services, basic needs, so that families can continue to thrive and become self-sufficient. This is more than just a hand out. We're providing families with a hand up. No one deserves to be in poverty. No one looks forward or think that poverty is going to happen to them. Poverty is a policy choice. Right now, Ohio is in a great position to pass a House bill to be able to provide for 778,000 more families who are eligible for the Earned Income Tax Credit.
When passed, the Earned Income Tax Credit will put more money back into the households of low-income people, giving them the resources necessary to address their needs.
The bottom line is we want to provide more money. We want to put more money back in the pockets of those who are suffering the most. In Ohio, we have very regressive tax policies, or we're making policy choices that sometimes continue to suspend and handcuff low-income households. For example, the benefit cliff. What we know in Ohio is the benefits cliff does not provide an opportunity for families who are earning more on their wages, families who are being promoted or being given an opportunity to raise their earning levels, because then they will be phased out of their services and no longer qualify for very crucial supplemental services like childcare, food, additional housing resources. The changes we're looking for Ohio to make in the future is to support more affordable, safe, and lead-free housing, a robust workforce development where all skilled workers are matched with jobs within their disciplines and within their communities, and a very strong, universal child care community so that no child is without early education and opportunities to succeed.
Housing is critically important because unless you have a safe place to stay, you really can't be engaged in the work of trying to achieve self-sufficiency. Even here in Central Ohio, our population is growing faster than our ability to build housing. So we have to address that on a systemic level. So in the areas of workforce, we know that family sustaining wages are critically important, and we want people to be trained for jobs of the future. But the question becomes, how do you get off of the hamster wheel of a dead-end job, minimum wage jobs, and actually get the training necessary, the credentials necessary to get the higher paying job? That's where we come in. We take a holistic approach to workforce, providing the supportive services to knock down employment barriers so that people can actually take advantage of the training to get the higher paying jobs, providing supportive services such as transportation and childcare. Childcare is critically important. Affordable childcare is something that we provide so that people can truly achieve self-sufficiency.
We need a working community. And so by providing assistance and more policies that support universal childcare, safe childcare.
Through our collective efforts, we were able to save Head Start and make sure that we have affordable childcare for all of Ohioans.
Another key area in childcare is to provide professional development and access to additional services and support for our educators, our administrators, and even our parents who are pursuing degrees or other avenues of success.
Here locally at Impact and working with OUCAN, we did a lot to get out the vote. We did a lot when it came to informing the community about the vaccinations and the need for vaccines. We did a lot to help with the Census Bureau count. Oftentimes we're called upon to be advocates, and that means speaking on behalf of those who cannot speak for themselves. But what's most important is empowering those who often feel like their voice is not heard, empowering them to speak for themselves. And that's why civic engagement and education is so critically important.
With support from our advocacy committee and our board of directors, who are often engaged in governmental affairs, we have a team of experts who are consistently looking at these policies in Ohio. We're looking at P&A and being able to provide more services for seniors who are in nursing care facilities, and so that they can have access to their families. We have our finger on the pulse in monitoring poor legislation that does not benefit low-income households. And so that we are the voice, and we will continue to be the voice of low-income urban Ohioans. There is so much need, and we can't do it alone. And our methodology at OUCAN is where we don't lead, we partner, and we support. We are happy to work with a number of statewide advocacy organizations here in Ohio, such as the Economic Mobility Alliance Ohio. It's a statewide alliance group. We're looking at addressing issues around the benefits cliff and being able to provide more services for those families. What we're learning is that oftentimes the barriers to services is really a fragmented system of paperwork, bureaucracy, and red tape. And so we are actively engaged in these policies so that we can streamline the application process, so we can make it much easier for families without broadband access, or families who have other limited resources in their household to simply apply for the kind of services and programs that they need without consistently having to apply for application over application. So in Ohio, we're fighting right now for a more streamlined process, and we're looking forward to working with our elected officials to make sure that all families in need have an access to those services.
One of the things that we know is that programs and services alone is not going to solve the issues of poverty. It's going to take advocacy. It's going to take reform. It's going to take policies like the Earned Income Tax Credit being passed. It's going to take regulations that limit institutional investors from coming in and buying up all of the properties in Ohio. There's a lot of prosperity taking place here in Central Ohio, and we want to make sure that every resident has that opportunity to prosper.
My passion lies in advocacy. Even as a child, I always saw myself being a voice for the voiceless, or fighting for others who didn't necessarily have the same opportunity, or maybe their voice wasn't quite as loud as mine. And so with 20 years of public policy and legislative experience, what I bring to this leadership role as the CEO for the Ohio Urban Community Action Network is my passion and my fierce advocacy. And I will continue to fight for anti-poverty policies that will help others be able to lift themselves out of the stages of poverty.
In Ohio's Second House District, there is a diverse range of issues, if you will. And I think in order for us to be able to solve those issues, we have to be willing to partner with a number of entities. And for me, in trying to solve the issues of my constituency, I've partnered with OUCAN. There are issues as it relates to food scarcity. There are issues as it relates to health healthcare deserts. There are issues as it relates to infant mortality. And so partnering with OUCAN, in addition to a number of other different organizations, has really been a great help to me. And so for that, I'm grateful. And I'll tell you, my priorities have remained the same and have been the same since 2021 when I took office. So my issues are criminal justice reform with the focus on alternatives to incarceration, focusing on reentry, workforce development, and economic opportunity. But then in addition to that, focusing on housing, and sometimes beyond the lens of even low income housing. But how do we keep our seniors in their homes when they're being priced out due to an increase in value and ultimately an increase in property values? And so again, my priorities have remained the same. But one of the things I tell people is that I can walk and chew gum. So if I've mentioned anything that you are not necessarily interested in, if you will, you can take a look at my policy priorities and the bills that I've been able to pass. And we've been able to pass bills with regard to the priorities that I mentioned, but then also things that I haven't. So my work on Ohio House Bill 50. House Bill 50 is what we call the Certificate Qualification of Housing. It is mirrored after the Certificate Qualification of Employment. And essentially what the Certificate Qualification of Housing does is it provides those who have been justice involved and those who are returning from incarceration to find a pathway towards housing. And so essentially what a person would do who is returning or has been justice involved, they would go before the sentencing court and say, look, I've been rehabilitated. I've done what I need to do to be successful back into society. And I would like to be granted a certificate qualification of housing. At that point, you would be able to provide that to a landlord and say, listen, when you pull up my background, you're going to see X, Y, and Z. But according to the judge, according to the Ohio House of Representatives, and ultimately according to our governor, you can trust me. I've done what it needs to be done to be rehabilitated, and you can rent to me. And that really provides opportunity for our communities. And it also takes people out of the cycle of poverty. I think that the issue of housing is truly, truly important. And I'm going to focus on it from the lens of Franklin County and from the lens of Ohio's Second House District. Got to be very clear. In Ohio's Second House District, we rank #1 in rental evictions, unfortunately. The zip code 43232, which is #1 in rental evictions in Franklin County, and the zip code 43213, which ranks 3 in rental evictions in Franklin County, are troubling. Those statistics are troubling, and they consistently remain at the top of the list year after year. And so not only getting people housed is what I want to focus on, but in addition to that, I want to keep people housed. And that's going to continue and remain to be a focus of mine. And I know you all may be thinking, how do you do that? Well, again, I told you workforce development, economic opportunity is really, really going to be important. And you want people to go to work. And what we're seeing in my district is people are going to work, but they're not making quite the same amount as other Ohioans on average. And so how do we fix that? We fix that in part by workforce development. So that's what my plan is going forward in the year with OUCAN. We will continue to try to address these efforts as it relates to housing, as it relates to criminal justice reform, as it relates to economic opportunity and workforce development. So we're going to continue to try to address these issues legislatively. And then not only that, we are going to continue to try to address these issues through funding, because sometimes that might be the easier vehicle, if you will, to address a need more than it may be to address it legislatively. So we're going to keep plowing along. It will not be easy, but I tell you, it'll be worth it. And if we're all working together in tandem, lockstep, arm in arm, we can do some unimaginable things. So again, thank you for the question. And again, OUCAN, you rock. Thank you so much.
Wow, that's advocacy and impact that make a difference in our community. Just love that. Thank you to our agents of change for demonstrating the strength of the pact. Social advocacy and impact don't happen in a vacuum, and we must communicate, educate, and collaborate across communities and sectors to better our communities. We encourage you to stay tuned for more upcoming legislation and anti-poverty policies to emerge from this year's state budget and lame duck session. While much has been done, there's much more for us to do. You can join OUCAN and its members as community advocates, lend your voice on key testimony, and donate to support the advocacy agenda. In addition to advocacy, community partnerships are key to evaluating the issues. And to share OUCAN's local and statewide community partnerships, let's welcome Tony Cunningham, President and CEO for Godman Guild Association in Columbus. Tony leads the agency's mission to provide programs that enhance the social and economic mobility of individuals and families in Central Ohio. And as a workforce development specialist and guest panelist for OUCAN's annual Women's Leadership Symposium, Tony is a respected leader in her field. Let's take a look.
Hello, my name is Tony Cunningham, and I have the honor of serving as the President and CEO for the Godman Guild Association, which is Central Ohio's oldest settlement house. We've been around for 126 years serving the greater Columbus community, and we're just honored to be able to support our local residents in the things that they need to create self-sufficiency and economic mobility. Our missions connect with OUCAN because we're all about creating economic self-sufficiency. We're all about empowering individuals and giving them the tools that they need to, as they say, learn to fish instead of just teaching them to eat. And so I'm excited about the fact that all of us are in this work together, coming at it from different angles and supporting individuals no matter what level they need in terms of support. So looking for individuals who may be transitioning out of high school, looking for individuals who may be trying to return to work after a long time of not being employed, or individuals who find themselves recently out of work or just wanting to be upskilled. Anything that we can do to support them as they build their toolbox and push themselves and their families forward. I would like to congratulate OUCAN on 40 amazing years of service to our communities across this state. We couldn't do it without the community action agencies. I remember growing up, born and raised in Columbus, Ohio as a little girl, and I remember the community action agency and the individuals that ran it here in our local region, and then seeing it evolve into what it is today with Impact Community Action. Shout out to my local community action agency. But you play such an integral role in the work that all of us nonprofits and workforce providers do by undergirding with critical services, making sure that people have what they need to be successful, but then also providing a lot of that training yourself and making sure that we partner with our local employer communities and others. And so congratulations to you for 40 years, and we look forward to seeing what the next 40 years will bring.
And Tony, we so appreciate you. We're proud of our strong partnership and opportunities to link professional development and skills learning to Ohio's urban CAA staff and residents. In the early 1980s, community action agencies in 12 metropolitan cities realized that due to Ohio's unique demographics, that there were more large urban centers than any other state in the country, and began networking to address issues collectively. The Ohio Urban Resources System, OURS, was incorporated in 1985 to represent the needs and interests of Ohio poor urban families and residents, and launched as an urban anti-poverty association. The group galvanized human resources for urban community action agencies to leverage their broker power and became known for their strength in the pact. In 2021, OURS changed its name to Ohio Urban Community Action Network, OUCAN, to represent its members' agencies while still providing the same quality and reliable services and programs today. Let's take a look at the history of OUCAN. All community action agencies across the state of Ohio and across the United States have different mission statements, different names, but we are all bound together by what we call the promise of community action, and many of you know this. Community action changes people's lives, embodies the spirit of hope, improves communities, and makes America a better place to live. We care about the entire community, and we are dedicated to helping people help themselves and each other. In August of 1964, President Lyndon Johnson signed the Economic Opportunity Act, calling on this country to end this paradox of poverty amidst plenty. He called on us to rally all available resources, whether that's federal, state, local, philanthropy, volunteers, all resources in our communities to fight poverty and end poverty in this country. This 60th anniversary year for community action is a moment for us to say, we've been at this work for 60 years. We are committed. We've made a difference in our community. We win the war on poverty every day, one family at a time. And what we found in the first year after the signing of the Economic Opportunity Act in August of 1964 was the bubbling up, the creation of 1,000+ organizations, community groups across this country that were really grassroots up. It was community groups coming together in urban communities, rural communities, suburban communities, saying, we're going to come together to fight poverty. And what made it unique was these were going to be federal dollars coming directly from the federal government to these local organizations with local decision-making, local power, because local understands poverty. We know, especially in urban communities, the urban CAP agencies across the state of Ohio know their local communities best. Toledo is different than Cincinnati, and we have to make sure that we reflect this historical value of local control, and we see it reflected today.
While we're one Ohio, urban communities, rural communities, Appalachian communities, there are distinct differences and needs in urban counties that doesn't necessarily exist in Appalachian or rural communities. Many of our organizations are serving families with deep issues, from infant mortality, the highest rate here right in Columbus, Ohio, to the lead housing in Cuyahoga County, where we have elected officials fighting for the removal of these kinds of infrastructures within our systems. Our urban counties are also facing tons of deeper issues that result from multi-generational poverty, oftentimes underfunded resources. Our school systems oftentimes do not have the same kinds of tools and opportunities as in the other communities. And so the urban counties have been known for being the go-to entities within their communities because they actually provide timely information and timely services for those needs that are germane to what's happening within those counties. OUCAN was established as an opportunity to provide a voice for those who didn't necessarily have a voice or a seat at the table. And during our chartering, our founders, our chartering members, saw a niche and a need to support the urban agencies within Ohio. Oftentimes, those agencies may have been overlooked or poorly resourced, or perhaps just didn't have all the tools and equipment that they need. And so our founding members saw the opportunity to create this space and capitalize on the strength of the pack. Most times in advocacy, we want to make sure that there are all the voices representing the diversity of Ohioans at the table. And so OUCAN was formed to be able to provide that voice for our citizens who live in our largest urban counties.
For over 40 years, the Ohio Urban Community Action Network has been a beacon for people who need help, but it's also been a resource for those who are serving the people who need help.
The catalyst for OUCAN's formation was to better serve urban communities and to support the leaders who lead those organizations.
So you have 10 CEOs who each have their own issues within their organizations in terms of how do we serve best. And so we ask each other, what's a best practice in your organization? How do we, use that in Cuyahoga County or in Summit or in, Columbus and Franklin County? But we support each other in the work that each is doing to support our communities.
When we come together, we want to create collective impact. And so there's a synergy that we get by working together, establishing best practices, and learning together.
We serve 56% of the population of Ohio. It's different. The rural communities, they have issues with transportation and things like that. In the urban settings, not necessarily as much. We have issues with housing, we have issues with workforce development, we have issues with childcare, but on a much broader scale. The magnitude is different. In a rural community, you may have 5,000 people in that particular community. Well, in the city of Cleveland alone, there are over 400,000 people. And that's just Cleveland. In the Northeast Ohio area, it's 1 million people. So the magnitude is greater. Not to say that the issues are not, equally important, but the magnitude is greater. And some of the issues that they have in the rural community, we don't have. And some of the issues that we have in the urban community, they don't have in the rural community. That's why the Ohio Urban Community Action Network was created.
At the National Community Action Partnership, we're very focused on branding and communications. We know local agencies oftentimes don't have large staffs. We're the hub for the nation's 1,000 local community action agencies. In many ways, we are like OUCAN, right? We do a lot of training and technical assistance to help local agencies understand and embrace and engage with the best possible thinking and research on poverty and economic security and economic mobility. We do direct technical assistance around lifting up the whole family approach to fighting poverty and, again, helping to support individual families on their individual journeys. Community action is needed today more than ever. Families are struggling, communities are, in transition oftentimes, and community action plays a significant role in being the infrastructure organization that's been in place for decades to fight poverty. They are a resource for elected officials, they're resources for academic institutions, businesses, policymakers. Community action is that hub in a local community, especially if you look at urban communities across the state of Ohio, as agencies are a critical hub in their local communities. We don't know what the future holds. What we do know is that families at some point, right, will have bumps in the road where things will get challenging. And to know that community action will always be there to be a resource, to be on the front lines, to understand the shifting and changing natures of needs in community is critically important. Again, we don't know what the future will bring. We all work toward putting ourselves out of a job in terms of ending poverty across America and across the state of Ohio. But we know that in this moment, we need community action more than ever. And I am just so thankful for all the great agencies, all the great urban agencies across the state of Ohio.
What an outstanding look at 40 years of special services and programs that give people a hand up and not a handout. It is a testament to OUCAN's member agencies and their commitment to serving low-income households through programs and services that definitely work. In 2023, OUCAN agencies served more than 100,000 households through programs such as Head Start, weatherization, workforce development, housing, and much more. These programs are linked to the advocacy agenda and the push for state anti-poverty policies, such as the Earned Income Tax Credit and the benefits of CLIF, proven to help lift people out of poverty. Working as a statewide advocacy partner and leading state budget advocacy is Sarah Hudasek, Community Manager for Advocates for Ohio's Future. Sarah also convenes the newly formed Economic Mobility Alliance Ohio, a collaborative advocacy group bringing awareness and advocate for positive solutions to mitigate and eliminate benefit cliffs, to reduce disincentives to work, and create a more seamless pathway to economic stability for all Ohioans. OUCAN is a new leadership partner with this group.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Hudasek with Advocates for Ohio's Future, and I'm here today to tell you that Yvonne Sherrill and OUCAN have been leaders in the anti-poverty movement in Ohio, and Advocates for Ohio's Future is proud to join this celebration of 40 years of the Ohio Urban Community Action Network. In her role as part of Economic Mobility Alliance Ohio's leadership, Yvonne brings expertise rooted in the real experiences of communities across the state to conversations with business leaders, policy researchers, legislators, and administration officials. This is such an important voice and perspective that is often missing in these conversations. Yvonne also has a unique talent in sharing her passion in a way that gets people fired up. In June 2023, Yvonne and OUCAN partnered with AOF on the Rally for Ohio's Future, which was held right outside the Ohio State House in downtown Columbus to raise awareness of the many harmful provisions included in the Senate version of the budget and to make noise about the support that Ohio truly needed in the budget. Yvonne was one of the MCs of the event and helped bring impacted Ohioans to Columbus to share their stories. And because of Yvonne and the partnership of so many advocates, the rally was part of a successful advocacy campaign that saw the majority of those harmful provisions stripped out of the budget. Looking ahead to 2025, I know AOF will be partnering with OUCAN to advance solutions to benefits cliffs and create a more seamless pathway to economic stability for low-income Ohioans. We'll certainly be watching the budget, and who knows, we might call in Yvonne and her incredible energy and knowledge for another rally. Congratulations on 40 years, OUCAN. Your incredible impact is just beginning, and Advocates for Ohio's Future is honored to work alongside you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. OUCAN and MAU need your support, so please join the movement and take action to support anti-poverty policies in Ohio. We are looking for those with lived experiences and concerns about eligibility requirements and policies associated with the benefits cliff, ALICE, Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed, EITC, and other equity and anti-poverty reform efforts to create equity and access for all Ohioans. So we encourage you to become a part of this and to support us. They say in order to know where you're going, you have to know where you've been. I'm sure you've heard that one before. And we know Ohio's urban CAAs have a long-standing history of lifting people out of poverty and matching them with workforce skills, childcare, supportive housing, and other self-sufficiency services. Here to share with us more insight on the future of Ohio's urban CAAs and community collaborations is Aaron Jeffries, President and CEO for Miami Valley Community Action Partnership. Aaron is the hope and future of CAAs as a leader of our blooming generations and compassionate thought leader. In her short tenure as president and CEO, she's led our agency's recent tour of the Ohio Weatherization Training Center's Southwest Hub. Since 2022, Miami Valley CAP and Cooperation for Ohio Appalachian Development, or COAD, have partnered to train crew members in how to weatherize homes throughout the state of Ohio. Miami Valley CAP's 9 crews serve 9 counties, working on nearly 600 homes every year. Let's take a look.
I'm Aaron Jeffries, and I'm humbled to serve as the President and Chief Executive Officer of Miami Valley Community Action Partnership, serving our neighbors in Southwest Ohio. I'm honored to be a part of OUCAN's 40th anniversary celebration. This milestone is a moment to reflect, to celebrate, and to look ahead. For me, it's a reminder of the decades of tireless work by those who laid the foundation for what we do today. Being part of an organization with such a legacy inspires me to continue pushing for equity and opportunity for everyone. This year, we commemorate the 40th anniversary of the Ohio Urban Community Action Network alongside the 60th anniversary of the National Community Action Network. These milestones highlight the longevity and resilience of our network and underscore the impact we've had in fighting poverty across Ohio's urban communities. They are a testament to the collective efforts of staff, partners, volunteers, and leaders who've worked with unwavering commitment to change lives. For me and my agency, it's a call to honor that legacy by stepping up to meet the challenges of today and tomorrow. Community action agencies have always played a unique role in addressing poverty. Historically, they were the bridge between federal resources and local needs, ensuring that no one was left behind. Today, they're still that bridge, but they've also become innovation hubs, adapting to rapid changes and addressing systemic challenges. As a leader serving in this new generation of community action, I'm constantly reminded that our work is about impact, measuring it in the lives changed and the barriers removed. Over the years, I've seen the community action model evolve to meet changing needs. From expanding partnerships to embracing data-driven decision-making, we are more dynamic than ever. At my agency, we're exploring ways to integrate technology and automation to streamline processes like application reviews and service delivery, ensuring that we're not just meeting needs, but anticipating those needs. This adaptability is how we continue to stay relevant and impactful, even in the face of shrinking resources and growing demands. Advocacy has always been at the heart of OUCAN's mission, and I'm proud of the way our network is contributing to this legacy through initiatives like the Economic Mobility Alliance Ohio. This partnership-driven approach allows us to tackle systemic barriers to economic opportunity while amplifying the voices of those we serve. As a newer leader, I'm committed to ensuring our advocacy efforts remain strong and aligned with the evolving needs of our communities. What excites me most about the future of community action is the potential for transformative change. We have the opportunity to address emerging challenges like climate resilience, digital equity, and workforce development in ways that empower families and strengthen communities. The resilience and creativity within this network inspire me every day, and I truly believe the best is yet to come. As we celebrate OUCAN's 40 years of impact, let's carry forward the spirit of collaboration and innovation that has defined this network. Together, we're not just honoring a legacy, we're building on it. Thanks for being a part of this journey, and here's to many more years of making a difference in Ohio's communities.
Thank you so much, Erin, for all you do for Ohio's urban CAAs and for showing us the promise of tomorrow's community in America. Like Erin, changemakers are people committed to transforming the world and people in it for the better. Changemakers embody the good in humanity, and they create opportunities and platforms for diversity and inclusion. The Ohio Urban Community Action Network is saturated with thought leaders and advocates, which is just wonderful. Innovative social change agents and a community of policymakers and advocates transforming the world for the better. One of those leaders is none other than Denise Harlow, President CEO for the National Community Action Partnership. Denise's leadership is invaluable and unmatched. At the national level, she leads the association, serving the needs of more than 1,000 community action agencies across the country.
Our leaders are not just leaders. They're not just position leaders. They're not just figureheads. They're neighbors. We're neighbors. We know our communities. We live next door to our teachers. We work in the community with our grandparents and kinship caregivers. We are a part of this community. Our leaders are passionate. They're knowledgeable, and they're tenured members of our community. Many of them have begun their careers early in the community action agencies and are still here to this day. And so they understand that through the community needs assessment, working with stakeholders, advocating, educating, and training, that we can continue to build a stronger community for the 56% of low-income households that we serve here in Ohio.
I came to community action, to be honest with you, I knew about programs. I didn't know about community action. I didn't know that's what you called it. And when I was younger, there were 2 times that I saw my mother cry. The first was when a friend of hers died. The second was when she found out that she made $5 too much to get on welfare. And she was sitting on the bed crying about how she was going to feed her children. Well, that's what we do. We help people feed families. We help people with transportation. We help people find jobs. We help people pay bills. That's why this is important. And I would be willing to say in no uncertain terms that my colleagues are equally committed to the mission of the organization. There isn't anybody that I know who is in community action who either personally hasn't dealt with the issue of poverty or have family members who have dealt with it. This is not just a job for us. This is not a job for us. This is a heart issue for us. My parents got a divorce years ago because of domestic violence. So we went from a 2-income to 1 income. And we had to live on government cheese, government bread. And when we couldn't afford meat, when she couldn't afford meat, we lived on mayonnaise sandwiches and mustard sandwiches. I remember those days. And I vowed to myself when I could make a difference that I would. We're blessed to be a blessing. That's how I view community action. We're blessed to be a blessing. We receive money in order to do the work that we do. So again, for me, this is not a job. It's not a job. Passionate about the work because I remember what it was like when I was a little.
It's not a job. It's a part of our experiences, our lived experience. I am a former Head Start mother. My son is a former Head Start child. I worked as the parent involvement coordinator for one of the largest direct operated programs in Northeast Ohio. And I returned to this community as the CEO for the Ohio Urban Community Action Network. It's more than just a job. It's not just a job. It is a part of our DNA, it's a part of our fabric, and it's a part of our passion to make sure that all Ohioans have the same access to success.
Across this country, in every corner of America, community action reaches deeply into community to fight poverty. In Ohio, there's such a value in terms of coming together and understanding the power of an association. And when I see OUCAN bring together the urban CAPs from across the state of Ohio, I see the power and impact of that collaboration. In urban communities, we see population sizes that are significantly larger, right, than in suburban communities and certainly rural communities. And so there's a large number of people both impacted and then a large number of people engaged. And that's what I just love again about the urban agencies across the state of Ohio. You really reach out, you tell the story, you have an impact, you're strong organizations, and you're helping families every day. And it's just such a powerful story.
The people who work here, it's a calling. They're passionate about the work. Because again, often they put themselves in the situation. What would happen if I needed help? When someone walks through the door, and I tell our staff this all the time, they walk through the door because they need help. They need our help. And as long as we remember our why, and that's our why, the people need our help.
My favorite thing about working at Impact Community Action is the ability to actually help people, to provide real assistance. So our mission is to fight poverty by providing hope-inspiring help and real opportunities for self-sufficiency. It's the real opportunities for self-sufficiency that I love most. I've had a variety of experiences, from the military to working in education to the public sector, and really getting to know people. And what it really comes down to is building relationships.
The key factors behind OUCAN's success begins, one, with community. We are a part of the community. We are neighbors. We are part of the residency. We are part of the family and the fabric of each of our communities served in 16 counties across the state. Our leadership, our board of directors, are tenured leaders with great passion, knowledge, and have come from the ranks or within the family of the Community Action Agency. Part of that secret sauce is because we recognize how to address and serve the whole family, whether it be a Head Start child a Head Start parent, someone who works as a family service worker, all the way to those who are providing weatherization programs and services. We are connected by family. That's the secret sauce that separates us from some of the other service providers in our community. And we've been around for 60 years. So we know what we're doing. We have a unique position on addressing poverty in our community. But we need your support. We can't do this alone. Please continue to support OUCAN so that we could advocate and promote self-sufficiency for all of our families in urban communities.
Simply incredible, incredible. OUCAN's collaboration with elected officials, the National CAP Agency, and community partners demonstrates the American promise to make an Ohio a better place for families and residents. This year, the network also launched the 2024 Voter Registration and Education Toolkit, led by our communications manager, Sharon Bingle. The toolkit provided member agencies with several resources to encourage their communities to get out and vote. Advocacy doesn't just happen during the election season. That's very important to note. We must be equipped and prepared to support one another daily. So today we pop our balloons. Go ahead and do that real quick. Blow our horns. Woo, and sound the alarm in celebrating Ohio's urban community action agencies and 60 years of our nation's spirit of hope, changing people's lives and improving communities. Ohio is unique. We have more large urban centers than any other state in the country, and these communities are extremely diverse. Our urban community action agencies often find themselves having to do more with less while staying inspired, driven, and of course, compliant with the latest policies and regulations. This is no small task at all. Luckily, that's exactly what the Ohio Urban Community Action Network, OUCAN, was made for. Thousands of Ohioans are struggling to feed, house, and support their families. OUCAN member agencies are often the front lines, offering the support people need to become self-sufficient. Every dollar donated supports advocacy and programming on behalf of Ohio's urban communities. Give today. There'll be a QR code that you'll see here on the screen here. Scan that QR code or visit OHIOUCAN.com. On behalf of OUCAN's Board of Directors, the CEO, Yvonne Sherrill, and the Urban Community Action Network, it has definitely been my pleasure to join you for today's 60th anniversary celebration. Thank you, and please have a prosperous year and a united new year. We wish you the very best. Have a wonderful day.